sterre nie, nog nie, maar lig self. Lig wat deur die leemtes dring, die stiltes breek, die duisternis terugdryf. En hy het gesê dat dit goed was. Toe strek die hemel wyd uit, oseaan het hul plek gevind, die aarde het uit die diepte verhuis, berge het oorgestaan, riviere het wild gevloei en die grond het met nuwe lewe aangekom. Groen, oral. Wortels, ranke blomme, bome, vrugte wat bars van oorvloed, sade wat val, lewe wat vermeerder deur net die klank van sy stem. Toe die son, toe die maan, toe die sterre, gerangskik soos lanterns in die uitspansel, om tyd aan te dui, seisoene te merk, 'n ritme, 'n dans, 'n polsslag vir die heelal. Die waters het gewemel, die hemelruim was vol. Visse het geswem, vlerke het gestrek en die aarde oor die aarde het gebewe. Bote het getrap, hoewe het gerop, gebulder, gebrul en geraas van lewe in elke hoek. En toe, die meesterstuk, stof bymekaar gebring in sy hande. Gevorm met doel, geskep met sorg. 'n asem, nie net lig nie, maar gees. Stof het mens geword en die aarde het sy ewigheid ontmoet. Oë het oopgegaan, long het gevul, 'n hart het begin klop en die mens het gestaan. Hooghoogte met sy skepper. En dit was anders. Nie net in bestaan gespreek nie, maar gevorm, aangeraak, vasgehou, ingeasem. En hy het gesê dat dit baie goed was. Onskuldige wandelinge in die tuin. Geen skaamte, geen vrees nie. Net die skepper en sy skepping hand in hand, niks tussen hulle nie. 'n Rein, liefdevolle verhouding tussen die skepper en sy skepping.
Maar toe 'n ander stem. 'n Fluister in die tuin. 'n Vraag, 'n twyfel. Het God regtig gesê? Eers 'n proe, toe 'n val en toe 'n breek en skielik was daar afstand. En ons het agter die voorhangsel weggekry. Agter die voorhangsel het ons skaamte probeer bedek met blare wat nooit kon uithou nie. Agter die voorhangsel het ons vrees probeer betem met stilte wat het harder en harder geword het. En toe hy roep, het ons nie na hom toe gehardloop nie. Ons het weggehardloop. Ons het vir die Vader ontvlug. Ons het vir die Vader dorings het uit die aarde uitgedruk en die vrees het oor ons gehang soos ketTINGS wat ons self gesmee het. Die gewig van die voorhangsel was te swaar. En nou voel die aarde dit, die pyn, die leegheid, die soeke na iets wat ons reeds geken het, maar net nie kan onthou nie. En ons probeer ons pad terugbou. Torings en kastele van mag, altare van ambisie, rituele van godsdienst, maar niks reik hoog genoeg nie. Niks breek deur die voorhangsel. Daardie voorhangsel afstand. Dit was nie net ruimte nie. Dit was sonde. En sonde is swaarder as 'n klip. Vyer is dieper as 'n graf. Die voorhangsel bly in plek. En van nou af is afstand ons bestemming.
Wat? Ek kan sien. Oh. My mic's on. Maar jy sê, gaan jy my woorde vergeet nie? Ek weet nie of ek moet gaan nie. In the beginning, there was nothing. No light, no sky, no sound, no time. Just the voice of God, hovering over the deep, waiting to speak. And then, light. Not the sun, not the moon, not the stars, not yet. But light itself, piercing the void, shattering the silence, chasing back the darkness. And he saw that it was good. Then, sky stretched wide, oceans roared into place, earth rose from beneath the deep, mountains stood tall, rivers ran wild, the earth breathed with new life. The waters swarmed, the skies filled, creatures swam, and rivers ran wild. Green everywhere. Roots, vines, flowers, and trees, fruit bursting, seeds falling, life multiplying at the sound of his voice. Then sun, then moon, then stars, set like lanterns in the vastness, marking days, marking seasons, a rhythm, a dance, a pulse to the universe. The waters swarmed, the skies filled, creatures swam, and wings stretched. And the earth, oh the earth, it trembled with movement. Feet pounding, hoofs galloping. And whispers, roars, howls in every corner of the earth. And then the masterpiece. Dirt gathered in his hands, shaped with intention, molded with care. A breath, not just air, but spirit. Dirt gathered in his hands, and earth met eternity. Eyes opened, lungs filled, heart pounded, and man stood face to face with his maker.
this was different. Not just spoken into existence, but touched, held, breathed into, and God saw that it was very good. Walks in the garden, no shame, no fear, just creator and created. Nothing between them, hand in hand, voice to voice, a pure, loving relationship between the creator and his creation.
My bad. Can we run that again? My bad.
Just go from the blackout.
But then, another voice, a whisper in the garden. A question, a doubt. Did he really say? And suddenly, there was distance. We hid behind the veil. Covered our shame with leaves that would never hold. Covered our fears with silence that grew louder. And when he called, we didn't run to him, we ran from him. The hands that once formed us, now reaching for us, but we pulled away. The ground groaned beneath us, thorns pushed up through the sand, the curse pressed down like chains we forged ourselves. The weight of the veil was heavy. And now the word feels it. I forgot my line. The pain, but it's not pain, it's another word. The world feels it. The something, the emptiness, the searching for something we once knew but can't quite remember. And we try to build our way back through towers of power, altars of ambition, rituals of religion, but nothing reached high enough. Nothing broke through the veil. The distance wasn't just space, it was sin. Sin was heavier than stone. It was wider than oceans. It was deeper than graves. The veil is in place. And from now on, our destiny is distance.
Cool. And then we do it. It took a lamb. It took a lamb. All right. Then after we took a lamb, we have a blackout. And then Liz. Okay, ons doen Afrikaans en Engels, sommer so direk na mekaar. Ja. Okay, can we go to blackout for part 3? Okay, Liz, is you ready? Happy. Okay, we're ready.
Daar's 'n naam wat deur die eeue heen weer galm. 'n Naam wat fluister in oomblikke van troos en uitskree in oomblikke van wanhoop en uitroep in oomblikke van oorgawe. Dis die naam Jesus. Wel, sommige mense sê hy was net 'n man en ander 'n filosoof of 'n prediker. En dan is daar selfs mense wat sê hy was net 'n rebel wat die stelsel van daardie tyd ontwrig het en toe met sy lewe daarvoor betaal het. Maar ek vra jou, watter man sal met sy kaal hande aan melaatses vat? Watter man sal die trane van afvalliges afvee of aan die tafel sit om sondaars en brood breek en vir hulle vriende noem? Wie hier sal 'n storm kan stilmaak met een woord? Of duisende voer met 2 brode en 'n handvol vis? Wie kan vir die dooie sê, staan op en hulle luister? Watter kind kan geleerdes leer en siekes gesond maak met aanraking? En wie kan bloed sweet en daarna bid in voorskou? Here, vergeef hulle want hulle weet nie wat hulle doen nie. Ons almal bou besighede en ryke. Maar Jesus, hy bou koninkryke. Nie die soort wat ons met Bitcoin of geld of goud koop nie. Nee, die soort wat hy met mense bou. Gebroke harte wat heel word en verlorenes wat huis toe kom. Jesus is die naam wat deur die strate weer galm. Hy is die fluister van hoop. En Jesus is die uitskree in oomblikke van waansin en uitroep in oomblikke van oorgawe. Nee, hy is nie net 'n naam nie. En hy is nie net 'n man nie. Hy is die begin en hy is die einde. Hy is die bron van alle hoop. En vanoggend is hy jou hoop. Nou moet ek dit my kop gou
Very nice. Wil jy gou 2 sekondes vat om Engels te raak? Okay, let's go to a blackout on the screen as well.
Is it? Shame. Echoes of comfort. There's a name that echoes through history, that spoken whispers of comfort, that shouts moments of despair and thank moments of surrender. That name is Jesus. Some say he was just a man, and others a preacher or a philosopher. There's even people that say that he was a rebel who just wanted to disrupt the system and then paid for it with his life. But I ask you, which man will touch the leper with bare hands? Who will wipe tears from the forgotten? And who will sit around a table with sinners and break bread and call them his friends? Which man will silence a storm with one word? Who will be able to feed thousands with 2 loaves of bread and a hand of fish? Who's able to rise the dead? And they listen. Which child will teach the teachers and heal the sick with a touch of a hand? Or sweat blood and still pray in preview, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. We build businesses and empires, but Jesus builds kingdoms, not with bitcoins and money and gold. No, he builds it with people, with hearts healed, and prodigals who comes home. Yes,
Jesus is the name that echoes through the street. He's the name that speaks to the forgotten, that shouts out in despair, and who you name when you surrender. No, he's not just a name, and he's not a man. He's just not a man. He's the beginning and the end. All hope comes from Jesus. And this morning, Jesus is your hope.
Beautiful stuff.
Sorry vir daai.
Baie cool. Okay, dan band, dan doen ons Who is this man? Uit daai stukkie uit, Who is this man that even the winds and the waves obey? Okay, dan na Who is this man kom Johan op vir die preek. Band take note, hierso gaan ons dalk ook nog 'n rukkie facilitate in die key van Who is this man, ek dink is in C. Net terwyl hy preek. Okay, let's get headset 4 on.
Kan ek jou neem in hierdie storie van hoop? Jesus die hoop. Kan ek jou neem in die perspektief van hoe die disippels na hierdie storie gekyk het? Petrus, Johannes, Jakobus. Die emosie wat hulle beleef het, die spanning wat hulle in daai oomblikke beleef het. Want hulle was oortuig die profetiese woord het tot vervulling gekom. Hulle was oortuig gewees dat soos hulle saam met hom gewandel het en aan die voete kom sit het, saam met hom in die binnekringe gewees het, die wonderwerke beleef het, dat hy is die Messias. Hulle was oortuig toe hulle met die donkie in Jerusalem ingery het en die skare het uitgeroep, Hosanna, Hosanna, en terwyl hulle dit uitroep, het hulle klere vir hom gegee. Ons was oortuig, hy is die een. Maar van hoop het alles beweeg na geen hoop. Van die nagmaaltafel, van 'n tafel van waar ons saam fees gevier het, na tuin, na storie van Getsemane. By die Getsemane oomblikke het ons beleef, as ek dink aan die disippels, hoe hulle uitroep en besef het hoe hy uitroep, laat hierdie beker by my verbygaan, maar nogtans nie u wil nie, maar laat u wil geskied. Daai oomblik toe Judas opdaag in die storie en hy hom soen en hy vir Jesus soen en toe hy Jesus soen, die soldate Jesus kom arresteer, toe voel dit of elke bietjie hoop weggeneem word uit ons hart uit. Ons het op 'n afstand gestaan en geluister en deur die vensters gekyk hoe Jesus voor die hoofpriester verskyn het en die hoofpriester uitgeroep het, skuldig, hy verdien die doodstraf. Waarom? Oor eenvoudige rede soos hy het gesê hy is die seun van God. Sal nie glo nie, self Pilatus het geen skuld in Jesus gekry nie. Maar toe draai die hoop verder weg van ons af en die volgende oomblik die Joodse raad het reggekry om die skare teen Jesus te draai en hulle roep uit, kruisig hom, en Pilatus sê, julle kan hom kruisig. 39 houe, soldate spot hom, doringkroon op die kop. Die volgende oomblik kan ek sien hoe die disippels terugstaan en sien hoe Jesus sy eie kruis voor hulle verbydra, afloop in die strate. So hoor nog steeds die spykers wat in sy hande ingeslaan word. En daar hang Jesus, tussen twee sondaars, tussen twee ware diewe, hy wat geen skuld gehad het nie, hang tussen, wat eintlik verdien om gehang te word, gekruisig te word. Geen hoop. 3 roep Jesus uit, my God, waarom het U my verlaat? Daai woorde het die laaste bietjie hoop wat ons gehad het, uit ons uitgeruk. Maar as ek in Petrus se skoene was en ek dink hy teruggekyk, het hy besef daai woorde was baie meer as net woorde van geen hoop. Daai woorde was die oomblik toe Jesus die sondes van my en jou op hom geneem het. Daai oomblikke was die oomblik toe hy die straf namens ons gedra het, in so mate dat God self weggedraai het sy oë van hom af. Maar daar was 'n oomblik toe hoop teruggekom het. Dit was in die oomblikke toe Jesus uitroep, dit is volbring. Met daai woorde was eintlik belaai met hoop geweest. Toe Jesus uitroep, dis volbring. Toe beleef ons net 'n aardbewing. Die wêreld word donker. En toe hoor ons iemand skree, as ek dink aan die disippels, so hoor die skree uit Jerusalem. Die voorhangsel van die tempel het in twee geskeur. As ek dink die disippels kyk terug, was daai oomblikke meer as net 'n oomblik. Elke druppel bloed wat geval het uitgeroep, skoon gewas. Elke druppel bloed wat geval het uitgeroep, Jesus stap in die troonkamers van die Vader in, en hy sê, ek het die prys betaal, ek het die lam geword, ek was die offerlam gewees, sodat jy skoon gewas kan word, sodat verhouding met jou herstel kan word, sodat ek en jy terug kan kom in 'n plek van verhouding, saam met hom, hy met my, ek in hom. En hoop het weer die disippels se harte gevul. Kan hoop vandag jou hart vul?
Okay, then band, we do All Hail up until that first bridge. So die gaan ek gou die Engelse deel doen.
2, 1, boom, boom. 1, 2. Soos reg. Okay. I want to invite you into this moment where Jesus is arrested and crucified, and what it might look like for someone who was named Peter, one of the confidants, one of the closest disciples that lived alongside Jesus. And I want to take you to what his emotions would have been like, or what he was feeling in this very moment that we know today as the crucifixion of Christ. Now, he was one of the disciples, and they entered into the Holy Land, or the holy city, Jerusalem, and it was the time of Passover, and this time was a time of cheerfulness, a time of celebration and prayer, in thankfulness to what God has done for their nation for the millennia or the few years that they have been blah, 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 blah. I want to take you and invite you into this picture, what a disciple, Peter, might have experienced on the day where Jesus was arrested and crucified. It was a day of Passover. It was a weekend where everyone who went to Jerusalem was there to be in rejoicing, to be in prayer, to be in thanksgiving to God about what He has done for them in the past. This day should have been joyous, but for some odd reason, halfway through the day was dark. Where the sun was most probably at its highest, this day was dark. And in this moment, Peter, standing at the edge, away from the crowd, witnessing what is happening to Jesus, because he's too fearful to actually be in the forefront of the crowd, witnessing what they are doing to Jesus. They are whipping him, they're mocking him, they're taking him through the streets of the city, and they are belittling his master, his teacher, Jesus Christ. But he is too fearful to actually show his face, but he cannot not see, but he can also not bear what he is witnessing. They get to a point where they put nails in Jesus' hands, and they put nails in his feet, and they nail him against a cross, a crucifixion. This wood stood tall. And what happened was this, it was like this obscene sign of just injustice in this moment. And Peter was probably standing there wanting to shout, "This is wrong." But he cannot. either because he's too fearful, or maybe it's because there's too many others cheering, kill him, kill him, kill him. And in this moment, Peter starts and he sees Jesus risen up on this cross. And he remembers words that Jesus said, the Son of God has to be risen up and he must suffer on an altar. He realizes in this moment, but this isn't defeat. This is actually obedience. Just as Jesus has said, each and every breath Jesus takes is agony. But with this agony, you still hear his compassion. He has this understanding that he still forgives those who are doing this against him. He even asks the Father in that moment, forgive them for they don't know what they do. He even has compassion. He looks to his left and his right and he sees criminals. And he says to the one, you know what? You will be with me in the promised land. You see, even in that moment, Jesus was gathering his people. He didn't care about anything else except me and you and everyone else. Now, in this moment on the cross, he cries out, and it wasn't a whisper like we heard in the garden a few moments ago. It was a roar, and he says, "It is finished. It is finished." Your forgiveness is finished. Your redemption is done. The grace of God is upon you. His love is bestowed upon you. It is finished. And this cry rippled through the whole of that city into a very interesting place. So I don't know how long that cry stood there and people stood there and the world stood there in awe and waiting for something to happen. But it was like as if the earth was holding its breath for a while, and then an earthquake started. Stones started to shatter, and everyone most probably stumbled around. And I can just see Peter most probably stumbling, powerless, full of emotion, to his knees, just looking up at Jesus, staring at this wonderful teacher, Jesus Christ, and understanding that there is something deeper, something beyond his understanding that's happening, but he still cannot understand it. Sometimes we don't even understand it till this day, but what has happened is amazing. And in this moment, when he's on his knees in despair, understanding that he's not grasping what's going on, he hears a runner that comes from the city he's probably got full of he's full of dust because it was far, and he's running and he's just shouting, "The veil, the veil, the veil." And everyone's going, "What?" And they calm him down and they say, "No, the veil that's in the temple has torn. The glory of God has torn the veil. The love of God has torn the veil. The grace of God has torn the veil. God himself has torn the veil. And what has happened is we can now have access. We are in his presence. We are in his glory. We are shared in his grace. We now can receive his love. The veil is torn. And Peter comes to this realization, knowing that Jesus said that this will happen. He really came to this amazing realization that Jesus must have been the Son of God. Until that day, he followed Jesus to death. My question to you is, will you follow Jesus?
Cool. Intro, all hail King Jesus. There was a moment when the lights were na, and the earth began to shake, fade, blackout into video. Okay, maak reg om die ding te skeer.
Thread tearing, molecules shifting as the creation holds its breath for the day of the kingdom. The moment was beyond a single thread breaking, beyond a breathless, broken body, beyond the grave that body will rise from, and into our hearts, where the glory of God will make its residence. It was the fabric of the universe shifting as though God, the everlasting, the all-knowing, said, "Enough." For centuries, we thought we needed to hide, to separate, to protect ourselves from the holiness that we could never touch. We thought if we were to stand too close, we would burn up in the fire of His glory. That if we came near, the weight of His presence would crush us. But that veil, it wasn't just cloth, it was a barrier, a shield, a result of a lie that burdened humanity for ages, the lie we live with. In that moment, the earth shook, when the sky went dark, when Jesus breathed His last, the impossible became real. The glory of God moved, not away but within, not in the stone, not in the temple, but in us, in you and in me, in every heart that chooses to see. God no longer lives behind walls, behind sacred rooms, locked away in spaces we could never enter. God lives in the breath of our lungs, in the beating of our hearts, in the spaces we once thought too empty to be filled. We don't have to go up to the mountain. We don't have to enter the temple. We don't need a priest to stand in between. The thread is holding on for dear life as the veil shifts under the weight of His glory. God moved into the places we call home. The Holy now walks among us, through us. And the moment the light, the glory, the presence of God moved, the veil could not hold on much longer. And in those moments the words ring true. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, it is finished. And the veil is torn.
Hardloop uit met die lap en swel. She's on the cue. 2, 3. Bridge. 2, 3. So let every knee. So ons gaan hom crash uit daai instrumental uit. Hulle gaan hom bietjie fade. So dan doen ons All Hail King Jesus bridge tot aan die einde, dan forever en dan because He lives. Amen and because He lives. Okay. Dis dit. Dit is dit. A band, we can set up for a sound check and then we can start working through the songs.